Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation, know yourself. Now, this evening, you will see I have a very special guest with me this evening, and this is a quite a unique collaboration. Previously, you've seen me collaborate with people like Linda G, or Mel, or you see me with of course, Lena and Lady G, Lady G, etc. But this evening, I'm bringing you someone a little bit different. Now, I'd like to introduce Trish Kane. Trish Kane. Now, Trish is a very interesting character, and she's had many different life experiences, including a near-death experience, which we will look at and examine. She's spoken at many different places around the world, sharing her story. And part of what this is about, we're going to also do a live deep dive into Trisha's chart. She doesn't know what to expect, because she really doesn't know what to expect here. And I'm going to be showing her how I could see what was maybe the things that contributed to that near-death experience, but also the resurrection of it. So, Trish, if you'd welcome to the show, if you'd like just to give a little introduction to yourself and some of the elements of what inspired you to set up Healerverse and what Healerverse is about.
Ooh, what an intro. And I'm so excited for this. Thank you for having me. You're such good energy and such good vibes. I'm psyched to be here today. Like Hogarth or Hoagie shared, I'm an international speaker, inspirational speaker, blockchain speaker, and I love to share my near-death experience to give people hope that there's more out there, and so people can have a better life ultimately, because every single fear boils down to fear of death. So once you remove that fear, like if this happens, then this happens, and you really dig deep into those fears, it always bottoms out at fear of death. So when we don't have that anymore, we're able to do anything and manifest and anything we want, right? So I grew up in New York, Long Island. I currently live in Florida / I'm in Pennsylvania right now at my beloved's off-grid cabin in the woods, like with the dog, and visiting here, staying here for a little while. So we're going to definitely talk about 2014 and my near-death experience. I went to the other side, literally through a tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, it was November 16, 2014. I went to the other side through a tunnel, like I was 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit when the paramedics found me, and they resuscitated me twice and brought me back to life. 9-day coma. I had to learn how to walk, talk, think, everything again. Literally everything, like as if I was a child. And so in the tunnel, like it was kind of like a cave tunnel. And at the end of that tunnel, there was 2 angels there, and I came out of my body. I saw my feet, but I didn't know they were my feet. And like up there at the top of the cave tunnel, they were celebrating Christmas. And I went up there for a little bit, and I was trying to talk to the people celebrating Christmas, but they weren't answering me or like seeing that I was there or anything like that. So that was my experience with like the going to the other side, and it's the short version of it, right? But what it made me really realize, and prior to that, I had spiritual experiences, but that escalated things quite a bit, right? In the last 9.5 years. And what it made me realize is that there's way more here on earth that maybe we can't see in the day to day, but we get those signs, right? And since then, it escalated things. And in 2020, when everything locked down, I said to myself, certain things were happening that didn't really vibe with me, because spiritual and holistic healing saved my life and gave me a life. All my friends are healers, right? I'm a healer. My friends are healers. And I'm like, this isn't driving for me. So I was like, let me build like an underground community of healers globally as like the back door, and the front door is like, hey, like also like combining Eventbrite, finding healers that are verified so they are who they say they are. They're not like, hey, send me money and I'll do a reading for you on Instagram and Facebook. Like, no, we know who they are, we verify them, like they're amazing, you know, globally. And then also workshops, so people can go do workshops 24/7 of our healers.
I just spilled a glass of water, by the way, but
Oh,
don't.
I thought you were activating your throat chakra.
What I was doing was trying not to curse live on.
Oh no,
I'm
did it
just
go on
like,
your laptop?
huh?
Did it go on
No,
your
no. I always keep my glass of water further away. So if I reach for it and
Smart.
spill it like I just did, then that way it just falls on the carpet and it does no harm.
Oh,
Well,
that's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, because you never know, and you know, live TV. Literally, I've got some water, literally, kind of coming this way now. Oh, thankfully, I've got a little
At least
tissue
it's
here.
real, right? Like that's one of the things, right? Like I was struggling with drug and alcohol addiction and alcoholism prior to that, and that's why I died that day. My heart stopped from a cocaine overdose. And like
Wow.
the fact that you just spilled the water reminded me, it's like, but prior to that, I was always putting on a show for what I thought people wanted to see. And then
Ah,
after that, I was like, I have to be myself. What do I truly believe? What do I truly think? Like I had this whole new perception of things, and I started to really work on myself and say, what do I believe versus what am I just like being a parrot and like speaking out about that I don't even truly believe, right? And I think a lot of
mhm.
people listening can probably relate to that. It's like, do I really believe this? Because especially your viewers, right? It's like they're looking to you and the guests for like some kind of like hope, right? And healing. And it's like that's kind of like the basis is like really tapping into ourselves, like what do I believe versus what am I just like believing because I heard it. And like once you
True.
start to tap into that, whoo,
Yeah.
magic.
Indeed, indeed. And it's gonna be really interesting. So what I'm gonna do now, Trish, is that I'm gonna take you on a journey. I'm gonna take you on a bit of a journey, and we're gonna look at your astrological chart, but from the Vedic perspective. So just so everyone knows, Trish does know Western astrology very well. Like most of us, anyone who's born in the West, what do we grow up with, including myself? You grow up with the Western. And what I say is Western astrology still works. It still works. But what you'll find is with the Vedic astrology or the Neo-Vedic astrology, which I do, what makes it Neo-Vedic is that I include the outer planets. So in traditional Vedic astrology, they only go up to Saturn. Yeah, so it's Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. That's what we can all see with the naked eye. And they also include Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is the north node of the moon, very significant in your chart and your N.D.E experience. And Ketu is the south node of the moon. So they look at 9 factors. But I also look at Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Ceres, and Chiron. Why? Because they're too important to leave out, particularly when we start talking about where your Neptune is as well, and how the position of Neptune in your chart actually echoes with a lot of my clients who are very spiritual people. So let's dive into it now. You guys, for Trish as well, this is going to be a little bit of an adjustment because she is used to Western astrology, but you guys watching are already familiar with some of this. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at your chart and I'm going to talk you around it. And then as I say what I see, you can then, corroborate or, add further insight. Yeah. Okay. So there we
Amazing.
go. So let's do present. And we're going to do share screen. And we've got quite a few people in the chat already, and I'll be clicking up on them in a minute. So let's do entire screen, click that, and then do share. And then we should both sort of shrink a bit and move to the side. I think we will. Here we go. So we're now over to the side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here. And then this should bring up your chart. There we are. And I'm just going to move this down. There we go. Let's go like this.
It's closer.
And then let's zoom out a bit wider this way. Right. So can you see this, Trish? Can you see this?
Yeah,
Yes. Can you see the?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to pull this down a little bit like this. Just so here we are. So it's a little bit squashed, but I want to be able to kind of see the both of us as I talk. Amazing. So here, so this is your chart here. This is where it says the number 1. That means D1. So this is where the planets were sidereally at the time that you were born. So just to make sure I've got everything right, I've got you as 8th of Feb, 85. Yeah?
Yes.
And the time is 5:35 a.m. Yeah? I think it was in New York, isn't it?
Yes.
No, well, yeah, it was in New York. I've got the details there. So this is you. So straight off the bat, now everything in Vedic astrology moves back by 24 degrees because of something called the precession of the equinoxes. The stars move backwards by 1 degree every 72 years. So according to Vedic astrology, Trish, your rising sign is not Capricorn. Oh no. Your rising sign is Sagittarius.
Ooh, I'm way funner than a Capricorn.
Now you do have Capricorn energy.
Yeah.
But doesn't that make sense? Because what is Sagittarius? Sagittarius is the truth seeker.
Yeah.
The truth seeker. Sagittarius is all about seeking the truth, spirituality, expansion, travel, broad-mindedness, adventure, foreign lands, foreign countries, all of that kind of stuff.
The fun haver.
Exactly. So Sagittarius is, of course, a fire sign, and fire signs are all about passion. So, of course, if you're a Sagittarius, your passion comes across immediately. What it also means as well is that the ruler of your chart is not Saturn, as it would be in Western tropical. The ruler of your chart is Jupiter, which for me makes a lot of sense as well, because what is Jupiter? Jupiter is the jolly planet, the optimistic planet. Jupiter loves to laugh. Jupiter loves to smile. And we can see, even with all your trials and tribulations, you always have a smile on your face. Yeah?
I've always had a thing for Jupiter, too. It's a thing. And I live in Jupiter, Florida.
You're joking. Really?
Yeah, well, since I was a kid, I always had a crush on Jupiter, if that makes sense. I've always felt called and drawn to Jupiter. Yeah.
Right. Well, now you know why. Yeah. Because in Vedic astrology, yes, the ruler of your chart is actually Jupiter. So you are Jupiterian, and Jupiter is also as well about expansion, knowledge, spirituality, learning, education of all kinds, foreign lands. Jupiter in Vedic astrology is also known as Jiva, which is the life giver. In fact, Jupiter's gravity is so strong. Jupiter is, I think it's something that I put in my book. Everyone knows, the Candid Guide to Neo-Vedic Astrology. And I think, if I remember correctly, Jupiter is 0.001% of the sun in terms of the sun's total mass, something like that. So I think it's less than 1%, but either way, it is big enough to actually affect the sun on its own orbit. So the sun actually moves around a 12-year circle caused by Jupiter. That's how powerful Jupiter is. Jupiter's energy is protective. Jupiter's gravitational force actually protects the Earth against asteroid impacts. So that's why people who have like a Pisces ascendant or Sagittarius ascendant, they are considered quite lucky. It's quite a lucky ascendant to have, because Jupiter has that protecting force. But if we look here, this is something really interesting here. In fact, actually, I won't talk about that bit yet. First, we're going to go to the moon. Yeah. So the moon in your chart, what is the moon? The moon represents the mind overall. The moon represents our emotions. The moon represents our childhood, our instincts, and growing up and stuff like that. The moon also represents the mother. Now, if we look here, your moon sits in a nakshatra, which is called Uttara Falguni, and it sits at 4 degrees and 9 minutes. Now, in Western tropical, your moon will still be in Virgo, but much later on. Yeah, be around about 28 degrees. Now, what is Virgo? Virgo deals with what? Health and healing and overcoming obstacles. Yeah. Now, if we look here, there's no planet with the moon here. There's no planet with the moon in this, or there's no planet before the moon, with the moon, but there are 2 planets after the moon. However, Pluto, or the outer planets, Rahu and Ketu and the sun do not count as company for the moon. So technically you have something which is called Kema Druma moon in Vedic astrology. And what it means to be or to feel like, especially when growing up, the odd one out.
Yeah.
So in your own words, could you explain to me, in what ways did you feel like you were the odd one out?
Yeah, like I never fit in anywhere, but I fit in everywhere, if that makes sense. Like you could put me in the room anywhere and I fit in, but at the same time, I don't. That's why it was like I put on all these masks in order for people to like me, because I never felt like I fit in anywhere. And I'm definitely not from this planet. We'll say that. Some people call me a Palladian. I think that's accurate, but whatever.
Right. Yeah. So now, isn't that remarkable? Because whenever I see this, Trish, in anyone's chart, it may as well be a law of physics. It always means the same thing. For each person, it will vary, but all of them feel like the odd one out when they were growing up, because the moon technically here doesn't have company. However, what I found is if there is an outer planet with the moon and either side of the moon, that does provide company in time as a person gets older. Now, what's interesting here, the planet that's giving you company later on in life is Pluto, god of the underworld. How interesting. So if we look here, let's talk about your first house, and then we're going to go into the actual timing of N.D.Es, etc., and stuff like that. But if we look at the first house, what's the first house? The first house represents what? The body. It represents the personality, first impressions, how we come across. How we come across to others, how we are read by others, how our energy is read by other people. Now, what's really interesting is I always say any planet or planets in the first house, irrespective of who the chart ruler is, has their hands on the steering wheel of your life. Now, for you, this is especially important because we see here you have Neptune in the first house. Yeah. Now, in Western tropical, of course, they would have your ascendant in Capricorn, which would put Neptune into the 12th. However, actually, your Neptune is in the first house. And this is really important because what it means is whenever I see this in my clients, I have a very specific name for it, particularly if they're female, which they usually are. And what it means is that you are a daughter of Neptune. Daughter of Neptune. It's mermaid energy. Mermaid energy. Yeah. And very often what I find is people who have Neptune in the first house, particularly if they're female, they will have streaks of different color in their hair. And they often have pink, blue, or purple. Yeah, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. So what is here, in a way, Now, let's not forget that Neptune is the co-ruler of Pisces. So it also means you have a lot of Piscean energy. And when Neptune is in the first house, it makes a person very sensitive and very spiritual. So from when you were born, from when you were a kid, you would have had that tremendous sensitivity, empathy, compassion for others. Neptune is also the higher octave of Venus, and Venus is the planet of the arts. So Neptune will deal with arts and music, but not just, it will be like film scores, movies, painting. Do you know that Neptune can make a painter? And from what I understand, I think you like to paint.
Yes, we're gonna paint my boyfriend's house. Yeah. And he might go to Philadelphia this weekend to his family's house. And I'm like, just get me the paint. Just get me the paint before you go so I could paint the house. Because, like, I need to tap into a little bit of that divine feminine energy. And really, I've been releasing my masculine like the past 2 weeks. And I'm like, just get me some paint. Yes.
Right. It's so interesting that you should say that, the divine feminine, because if we look up here, so if we count round to where your Venus is, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So you have Venus in the fourth house, and the fourth house deals with the heart chakra. Yeah. Your Venus is exalted in Pisces, but it also deals with real estate. Yeah. Real estate, homes, stuff like that. Now, isn't that interesting? Now, Venus, as we understand it, of course, is what? The planet of love.
Yes.
Venus is the planet of love, compassion, etc. Whenever she's in Pisces, she becomes exalted. And what it means is, whenever I see this, particularly in a female's chart, but it's for men as well, but for a female, it creates priestess energy.
Thank you.
Really does. It makes my client very, very spiritual. So we can see that here, but there's an interesting thing for you here, because do you see here as well that Mars is also with Venus?
Yes.
Now, what is it that they always say? Do you remember that book? Men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Yes.
Here you have the two together, but look at the degree. They're very close. Do you see? Your Mars is at 10 degrees, 39 minutes, and your Venus is at 11 degrees, 45 minutes. So they're right on top of each other.
Oh, yeah.
And what that means is this shows how you have great access to the divine feminine, but sometimes it's how it's been a challenge as well to sometimes access that energy, because you've got a lot of the yang masculine energy coming in from Mars. So how has that played out in your life, the battle between yin and yang, the divine feminine, but also as well this energy, this fire, this passion?
Yeah, so up until like 9 years ago, I was actually married to somebody else. And do you hear that?
Yeah.
That was a huge bolt of lightning. It was beautiful.
Wow.
And yeah, so I'm very loyal, and it takes a lot to get me, like, to date me and stuff, because I'm very, very like priestess energy. Like, this is my energy, like, not really intimate with people physically unless like I'm sure, Yeah, because I'm good by myself like that. It's almost like the yin and the yang together. Like, I complete myself in very many ways, right? I would say. And yeah, I definitely do feel better when I'm in my feminine, but then I like to be in my masculine sometimes too. But I feel I overdo one or the other, and then I'm out of balance. So being in both and like, in harmony is definitely what I'm taking from this as like feedback of how I could be better and in alignment with myself and where I want to be for myself to feel better. Because that's what I've been tapping into in the mountains here too. Like,
Yeah.
like, I've been too much of my masculine and I'm exhausted. I don't want to do all this anymore. So now it's like the opposite, to get back to homeostasis.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because here in your chart, it shows me that you do have access to both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. But when you go into your divine feminine, because this Venus is here, is exalted in this sign, it really becomes transcendent and all-encompassing and stuff like that. So it's a nice combination to have. But I can also understand as well why now you may have, or in the past where you felt that push, that push to strive to go forward, because actually when Mars is in Pisces, he's actually in a friendly sign, because in Vedic astrology, there are relationships between the planets. So Saturn, Venus, and Mercury, they're all friends. And Jupiter, the Sun, Moon, and Mars, they're all friends. So when Mars is actually in the sign of Pisces, what I call it is the spiritual warrior. Makes sense, yeah?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exactly what you are.
Aw, thank you, brother.
No problem, no problem. So when we look over here, so let's analyze a little bit of the N.D.E, yeah, and what were the circumstances that came up. So I made some notes here. When we first spoke, when I first looked at your chart, just to see all the different kind of things that were going on. So I'm going to read back my notes a little bit, and then we'll follow it around in the chart. So what I put here, so I put here the energetic factors of addiction and the N.D.E, the Rahu Dasha. So what does that mean? So Neptune is a wonderful planet. Neptune dissolves the boundary between the three-dimensional world and the realms beyond. However, the shadow of Neptune can deal with anything that gets, well, it's not always necessarily bad, but anything that gets us out of our body. And so Neptune is the planet of changing our consciousness. And one of the ways he does that is via alcohol, yeah, because he deals with liquids of all kinds, gases of all kinds. So Neptune deals with alcohol. He also deals with pharmaceuticals and drugs of all kinds. So, for example, we need to be out of our bodies when we have when we have an operation that opens the body. Yeah, they put liquid in and then we're knocked out and then they can operate on us. That's Neptune. But Neptune can also deal with things like drink or drug overdoses, stuff like that. So anyone who's got Neptune in the first house, they often have to find a balancing act with their relationship with either alcohol or any kind of drugs. It doesn't even have to be recreational, any kind of drug. That person is going to be more sensitive to it because Neptune is in the body. Yeah. So that, and also as well here, it's in the nakshatra called Mula, which means to tear up by the roots. It's also the deity of this nakshatra is called Niriti, and Niriti is known as the goddess of destruction. But what is she destroying? She destroys Maya, the illusions of living here on planet Earth. See? So this Neptune in your first house, very, very, very powerful. But we also have a timing system in Vedic astrology. So you see here where we've got these letters here, these letters and then these dates. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these letters and these dates refer to the Vimsatori Mahadasha sequence. I know that's a big long word, but what it basically means is it's when certain planets take charge of the chart. And I have illustrations to demonstrate this in my book. And it's like your soul is in the back seat of a certain car, and then you're driven along. When a dasha starts, the planet that owns that car is the driver. You're still in the back seat, and it will drive for a certain amount of time. And then the driver will change, but you're still there for the duration of the journey. Yeah. So your Rahu Dasha, which the Rahu Dasha lasts 18 years, by the way, your Rahu Dasha began on the 25th of September, 2004. Yeah, that's when you went into your Rahu Dasha. And I've put here, you should have been around about 19 years old at that point. You should have been 19. Yeah.
So that was right when I started sophomore year of college.
Right. And what I've put here is what I've put here in my notes. Here are the notes. So I put here The Rahu Dasha started on September 25th. September 25th, 2004, when she was 19 years old. And I put here, likely starting her party life. Yeah, because you would have been going into college and stuff. So Rahu can indicate sometimes addictions or hedonism, excess, foreign lands, or exotic people and characters. Some cool and others not so much. So when you got to college and stuff, how did that, now I've described that energy, how was the college years maybe a part of maybe when you started to experiment with things? That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, so a year before this is when I started to drink heavily, and then fast forward, and I see some people are like, I like this thunderstorm. Is if it's disruptive, let me know, and I'll put it on mute when I'm not speaking.
No, it's all good. Let it
Okay,
rumble.
it's nice, right? It is. It's
Mhm.
really coming down. But at this
Jupiter.
time period specifically, I was about a year into my heavy drinking.
Mhm.
And then I was really looking for people that drank more than me. And then I started smoking a lot of pot at this time too, I would say, this particular time exactly. And that's really what escalated things, because like we have this invisible line as humanity. And it's like, I will never cross this line. And once you cross this line, the line goes a little bit this way, right? And then this becomes closer. And then it's like, and it just keeps moving, right? And all of a sudden I'm doing things that I never thought I would do. But this time period is really when I started. And for me, it just wasn't in alignment for me. I'm not against marijuana. It doesn't matter what anyone does, actually. It's cool. Do your thing. But for me, it wasn't in alignment for me. And it really took off around this time. Yeah. And that started everything, really. Right?
Absolutely. And that's why I made a note of it, because Rahu, for those who may not know, but Rahu is the north node of the moon, as we call it in Western astrology as well. We call it the north node, but in Vedic, we call it Rahu. Now, Rahu is famous in Vedic astrology, famous. Rahu is said to be the reason why we reincarnate on Earth in the first place. So this is profound. Yeah, the nodes of the moon are profound. Ketu will show the past. It will talk about our past lives. Rahu will show our appetites this lifetime, the direction that we're supposed to go in, but can also indicate our obsessions and addictions. Now, what's so fascinating with Rahu, remember, Rahu is the head of the dragon without the body. So Rahu has an insatiable quality to him. Yeah, he can just keep going and going and going. And the north and south node of the moon are known as smoky planets. But Rahu in particular loves to smoke. Isn't that interesting? He really does. I have clients that come to me and they're like, and I see they've got Rahu in a place, maybe like the first house or the second house, which also deals with the face and the mouth. And they're like, oh my God, Hoagie, I've been able to change my diet. I've been able to give up, alcohol, drugs, etc. But for some reason, I just can't give up cigarettes. This is what they would say to me, or cigars. And I would see that they've got Rahu in the second house, which represents the face, and the mouth. And I say, you know what? Don't worry about it. Because I said, that is the last thing Rahu wants to give up, because he loves smoking. And that was part of what began. Yeah. So what followed, as you can see here, you've got the dates here. The Rahu started. So you were in the backseat of Rahu's car, which I call Rahu is like a rally driver. Rahu is the roller coaster of life. He takes us up and down in all sorts of extremes. I always say, anyone who's been through a Rahu Dasha, you get the works. You can get triumph and fame and success. You can also get rack and ruin. You can get fame. You can get everything with a Rahu Dasha. So when you started college, this really was the beginning of a huge ride for you. Where Rahu was taking you on this extraordinary journey. And if you look here, he's at 29 degrees, 21 minutes of sidereal Aries. And Aries is all about what? Fire, heat, passion. starting new things. So do you
Yeah.
see how this timed pretty much exactly when you were starting college,
Yeah.
meeting new people, having new experiences? Everything was new and exciting, but also a
Yeah.
little bit dangerous. Yeah, go
Yeah,
on.
so like I don't mean to cut you off, but like two
Yeah,
things.
cool.
So look how it's at 555. That's one thing, right? And secondarily, and
555.
secondarily,
I'm
that's
missing
when
it.
I also found my passion for business, right? So, like, you talked about kind of like the duality of like, you can go this way or you can go this way, right? And like, on one hand, I was like using substances way stronger than ever before. But also, I was like tapping into the power of like, wow, I never fit in, right? Until like any classes in school, like this whole freaking world was not set up for me. But then all of a sudden, I started taking business classes, like international business, entrepreneurship, and I'm like, boom, boom, and I had like a 3.8 GPA, and was like literally killing it in school, having fun, they kind of went hands in hand though. In a lot of ways, they like escalated together. A lot of glorious moments too, right? A lot of like
Absolutely.
darkness just began to creep in, but also the alcohol and substances gave me a sense of freedom in so many ways too, right? Because of all the other stuff from this timeline and maybe past lives and stuff, I had a sense of freedom from like everything, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that, because what I want people to understand is, even when we have extreme things happen to us in our life, which Pluto and Rahu are famous for, but what Rahu will always do, like they say, Rahu will always take us out of our comfort zone. Rahu will always give us something new that we've not experienced before. And even though some of those experiences might be negative, however, there can be an overall positive, because what he does is he expands, he acts a bit like Jupiter, expands out our boundaries and brings us new people, scenarios. And Aries, of course, is famous as the sign of entrepreneurs, pioneers. So, okay, there was, like you said, the drugs and the addiction that crept in, but there was also the opportunities, learning new skills, meeting new people, exoticism, tremendous variety. And if we see here as well, Ceres is also here with Rahu, and whatever Ceres is where we can give our love or devotion for someone or something. So do you see how your roller coaster, even though there was a bit of danger there where the wheels were kind of like coming off a bit, but at the same time, you were having these incredible insights and experiences and liberation into your true self, because
yeah.
Aries is the sign, I refer to it as I am, of truly where you become yourself. And
Yeah.
that began with the Rahu Dasha. Now,
And
if
new
we look,
beginnings and new beginnings. Aries is all about new beginnings, fresh energy, like, like the beginning. Yeah, the youngest, the most
exactly,
childlike ish in a good way, the most exciting. Like, here I am, like, not as much as Leo, but just like, just like, phew,
absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you can see here, so whenever Rahu is in a fire sign, that increases his passion. But whenever he's in Aries, it is very bombastic, but a person will break the mold within themselves. And it shows it shows that part of your life destiny this lifetime. And we'll look at Rahu in your second half of life chart as well. But it shows your destiny was to pioneer, was to break new ground and do something new, something unconventional that hadn't been done before. But at the same time, it has this mothering energy, this nurturing energy of Ceres as well, because Ceres is the Roman name for the goddess Demeter. And Demeter had a very famous daughter called Persephone. So it's got that nurturing food, nutrition element to it as well. Remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Accurate.
if we, thank you,
Thank you.
no problem. So if we looked at, if we look here, if we, so now the NDE, as you said, was on November 14th, yeah, November 14th, 2014. Now, you were in the Rahu Dasha, yeah, because it lasts for 18 and a half years. But what's important here is that you were in Rahu Mercury. So what does that mean? So if we look here, so you entered Rahu Mercury. That means you're still, so when the Dasha starts, you see it says Rahu, Rahu. So he's driving.
Yeah.
And then it goes Rahu Jupiter, Rahu Saturn, and then Rahu Mercury. So it means you're in the backseat of Rahu's car, but Mercury is driving. When a new planet is driving, whatever house that planet sits in and whatever houses it rules, along with the positions of Rahu, will affect the life. Now, this is going to be very interesting. So you went into your Rahu Mercury on the 6th of September, 2012. Yeah. Now we know that N.D.E, yeah, was November 14th, 2014. But you see, you didn't change Dasha. You didn't go into Rahu Ketu until the 27th of March, 2015. Yeah.
Wow.
So we know that N.D.E happened when it was your Rahu Mercury.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a whole timeline in itself, by the way. Like,
I'm
you're
sure.
showing me, yeah, like they're very like specific to, wow, like wow. This is the years of my marriage specifically. Like I got married July 28th, 2012. Look, 6/9/12, and then
Wow.
the divorce went through 3/1/15.
Well, look at that. So what that also means is your Rahu Mercury represented your marriage as well. Now, this is even more astonishing. Listen to this. Because you are a Sagittarius ascendant, yeah, that means anyone who's born with Sagittarius ascendant, let's say in the sidereal, it means that planet Mercury is the lord of the 10th house and the 7th house. Yeah. So what does that mean? Any house a planet is the lord of, it brings that energy to the house where it sits. So if we count round from your first house to the 7th, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Gemini, ruled by Mercury. 7, 8, 9, 10. Virgo, ruled by Mercury. Mercury goes to the 2nd house. Now, guess what? Now, you probably know this already. So that means the energy of the 2nd house and the 10th house is now, it means the energy of the 7th house and the 10th house is now brought into the 2nd house because that's where Mercury is sitting. Yeah. It's also sitting with Jupiter and the Sun. Now, this you're going to find remarkable. The 7th house deals with relationships, business partners, and marriage. Marriage. You said that you got married around this time. When did you say you got married again? It was, I can't remember the date.
November, like a month and a few weeks after this, and divorced right before the next transit.
Wow.
Or the next, yeah.
Isn't that remarkable? So we can see here,
like the time
Mercury,
karma.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Mercury is the 7th house lord, he brought to you that marriage. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he sits in the 2nd house. Now, I'll tell you something else. You see here, Mercury is next to Jupiter. Yeah. Do you see Jupiter is here? Yeah. So here's Jupiter. Now look at the sign. You see the sign says Capricorn. And I'll tell you something interesting. Jupiter, now planets have signs of exaltation where they're at their strongest and most powerful, like your Venus is exalted. But Jupiter technically debilitates in the sign of Capricorn.
Oh.
And I'll tell you something interesting. Jupiter will represent the significant men in a person's life, be they male or female. It's the significant men in a person's life. But in a woman's chart, Jupiter is even more important because it represents the secondary characteristics of the father. But in particular, Jupiter represents the husband.
Oh.
Right. So we know, you've clarified with the dates. Your Rahu Mercury brought you a marriage to Jupiter here, the husband. But Jupiter in your D1 chart is debilitated. And what I have found is this. Anyone who has a debilitated Jupiter, either in the D1 or the D9, but particularly in the D1, it will mean one of the husbands, normally the first husband, is not so great. Because why? Jupiter is debilitated. Yeah.
Wow.
However, for you though, in your second half of life chart, your Jupiter is way better. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, way better. But I just wanted to show you the energy. Do you see how that works?
Yes.
Mercury,
Oh, yeah.
7th house, 10th house, which deals with career, is in the second house with a debilitated Jupiter. Brought you that marriage, yeah? Your Jupiter as well, do you see here, it's combust, yeah? Combust means it's just very close to the sun. So it means
combust. I mean, that speaks for itself. Combust.
Right.
Combust. Yeah.
Combust. It wasn't going to last, but it was something that was part of your learning.
Absolutely.
It was part of your education. Yeah. Now, if
It's
we look here,
I never activated my throat chakra in that situation, like outside of the relationship. Like I kept everything like super private, and I was like super fearful to like share like outside what I was really feeling, and there was a lot of secrets. So like it's interesting to reflect on that too. Combust.
Yeah. And the second house also deals with speech. It starts from the eyebrows and goes, so it's the face, the neck, and the teeth, and also deals with the throat.
Ooh.
Mercury is the planet of communication. You didn't feel like you could communicate in your relationship with the first husband. It was stifled. It was combust. It wasn't working the way that you would like. Now, something very
a lot of secrets. Like actually the secrets between the two of us, we like telepathically could communicate, but like everything was a secret between us and we didn't tell anybody. Like it was like what was really going on compared to like what we showed the outside, which was like previously my MO, right? Since I was a kid, showing people what I thought they wanted to see was what kind of happened like the whole time.
Wow. Remarkable. But what is even more uncanny in this, now this has already happened, but in Vedic astrology, we also have different descriptions for the houses, yeah? So the second house and the 7th house are known as marker houses. What does that mean? Marker means, it sounds a bit sinister, but it means death inflicting, yeah? And you're thinking, oh God, why is he mentioning that? But it's really, really important because Mercury is the lord of the 7th house. Now, why could that be the case? The 7th house deals with marriage, but also deals with open enemies, but it also deals with partners, yeah? But it's in the 2nd house as well. So, of course, you were in the Rahu, Mercury, with the debilitated Jupiter. That was the circumstances that brought on the N.D.E.
Yeah.
Brought it on. It happened in that time frame. Yeah. Happened in that time frame.
Yep.
But that's fulfilled now because you survived.
Definitely. Yeah, I haven't drank or drugged since 9.5 years. So literally.
It's astonishing. And what I wrote here is
extremes.
So the extremes. So
there we go.
Absolutely. So your Mars is in Pisces and it's in the nakshatra called Uttara Bhadrapada, which means the back legs of the funeral cot. What that means is it means a person overcomes their fear of death.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. That's one of the first things I said, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It means to overcome the fear of death, because what happens is those people who have those planets in that nakshatra, they understand that death is a transition. We never really die. It's a transition. You understand it. You've literally have gone to the other side and come back.
Literally. This time.
Literally.
Yeah. I went there. Yeah.
You literally went there.
I literally
Mars
went
is the
there.
absolutely
I
Mars is
didn't
the
know that's where I was. I didn't know that's where
yeah,
I was because but it was the realest thing I've ever experienced. So real. Like, yeah. And I think I saw Christmas because it's something I can relate to from this timeline and potentially past lives of growing up in a Christian religious household. That's why they
mhm,
showed me Christmas. Otherwise, maybe I would have seen something else because that's just how it works, I think. Yeah.
absolutely. So we can see Mars is the one that actually brought you that experience in combination with his blending energy with Venus, the priestess. Pisces is about otherworldliness, other dimensions. So you can see here, if you look, both of these planets are in Uttara Bhadrapada, overcoming the fear of death. Do you see?
Wow.
So you can. So what is? It's like Mars turned you into the priestess. Yeah, gave
Yeah.
the energy, the event. And also, as well, you know what is very interesting as well? Mars is the dispositor of Rahu because basically, whenever it's like Monopoly, whenever a planet is not in its own signs, it has to pay rent to the planet that owns it. So here, Rahu is paying rent to Mars. But Rahu is in Aries, as we said before. And guess what? Aries deals with the head, the
Oh.
top of the head. And you were talking about, basically no oxygen to the brain, you were in a coma, etc., all of that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
that was also, in many ways, you could say your initiation. You were initiated into this energy. What else did I put here? I've also put what's it called here? So also as well, your Mercury is in the nakshatra called Shravana, and Shravana means to be able to hear the voice of God. So it means to be able to hear spirit.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful. That's beautiful. And yes, sometimes I'm like, who is speaking to me? Because I can communicate. Like, yeah.
yeah, it's
Not when
here,
I'm in my masculine, though. Not when I'm in my masculine. Mm-mm.
right?
So it's
So
good
you
to be
can
out in the
see here.
woods. Yeah.
Yes, so your Mercury is literally helping you hear the voice of the divine. And
Aw.
then if we look here as well, if we look here, down here it says AK, that's an image for the sun, and it says AMK, and here's the image for Mercury. So what does that mean? So I put here the sun is the Atmakaka. So Atmakaka in Sanskrit means soul indicator. The sun is the sole indicator for everyone, but for you, it's even more important because the planet at the highest degree will be the indicator of the soul. So many eagle-eyed people will go, oh, but look, Rahu and Ketu are at 29 degrees. However, they always go in reverse. So the number starts higher, goes lower. So they're the youngest planet. The most mature planet in your chart is the sun. So the sun indicates your soul, and you see he's here with Mercury as well. So that near-death experience, yeah. So if I put here, the sun is the Atmakaka, but Mercury is the Amatyakarka. So what it means is the planet with the second highest degree drives the soul where it needs to go. So I put here, the sun is the Atmakaka, but Mercury is the Amatyakarka, showing that becoming a leader is via Mercury's influence, and Mercury is the planet of media and communication. And I always put here as well, Mercury is the 10th lord and the 7th lord and sits in the second house. So a near-death experience literally helped create a new career. Do you
Yeah.
see?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. You
he's
know,
the
it's so
showrunner.
interesting. People are always like, are you actually the same person? Like, or did the soul swap out? And I'm like, no, it's the same person. I woke up a jerk. Like, because I was like coming out of whatever, but like I learned, right? I healed. I had a lot of healing to do since I was a kid, really, like a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, like, and then I'm like,
remarkable.
if I can heal, anybody can heal. Let me help people.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yes.
one thing I'd like to add, and then we'll take some questions that have come in. We might just go over a little bit here. So here's your D9, which is referred to as the Navamsha chart. The Navamsha chart is often referred to as the chart of marriage, but not everyone gets married. But really what it shows is the second half of life. And it really starts to kick in around about 35, 36. Ooh. Now for you, Rahu actually holds the lowest degree, even though it says 29 degrees 21, but it goes in reverse. So it's really around about 1 degree. And that means Rahu here, you see where it says DK, it means it's the Dharakaka. It means what one is, what you're attracted to, the type of partner. Rahu deals with the exotic. Yeah, it deals with the exotic. What did I put here? What's it called? I can't remember here. Let me just see here. So basically, here we are. So I put here, Rahu sits in the 5th house of intelligence, also deals with children and creativity, giving consultation and advice to others, yeah, which is part of what you do. It sits in Kritika Nakshatra, which is the ritual purification. So when you had your N.D.E, that was your ritual purification of your soul. Also as well, I've put here, Rahu is the Dharakaka, meaning the life partner is likely exotic looking and will likely have foreign blood. Yeah, could have foreign blood or look a bit different.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's such a gorgeous man, Middle Eastern and Indian. And like, he's so beautiful. It's not normal. Sometimes I look at him and I'm like, are you real? I'm like, are you real? And like his insides are like even more beautiful than his outsides. I'm like, are you even real? He's so sweet and kind, and like he cares about the planet, like and humanity too, as much as I do, and it's really beautiful. Yeah.
Right, and I can see him here. Now, remember I said Jupiter represents what? The significant men in a person's life.
Yeah.
So ladies, if you're watching, if you've got debilitated Jupiter in your D1, it means the first husband was a bit, yeah. However, there is hope.
Well,
if your Jupiter improves in the second half of life,
at the same time, even with this.
Oh, really? We're supposed to say hope, yeah. If he improves though in the D9, it means later on in life you meet someone really nice. This is him. Now, if we look here, here's your Jupiter in sidereal Pisces, which is his own sign of rulership. What it does is it gives a partner that is very caring, compassionate, empathic, thoughtful, and has high emotional intelligence. Yeah. Yes, intelligence in general, but high emotional intelligence. But if you look here, do you see Chiron is also here? Chiron. Now, Chiron in the D1. Yeah. So Chiron in the D1, wherever Chiron is in the D1, can show where we've received a wound in life. Could be mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, or financial. Yeah. However, Chiron in the D9 shows where we are healing, have healed, or healing others. So here you have Jupiter with Chiron, which means having a healing partner. Your partner is part of your healing process, has healing qualities, will help you to heal, and you will help heal him.
Yes, and it's gentle, and it's gentle.
Gentle
healing. Yeah, it's like a lot of shadow work, a lot of like, but he's not even telling me what I need to do. He's a reflection of me that I'm seeing it for myself. Like, oh, I don't want to be like this anymore. I want to change this, like within myself. It's so gentle. And I mean, he's helped me while I've cried. And just told me, like, it's not even a thing. Like, oh
absolutely. My God. So lucky you got a great gem there.
Yeah.
You can see how Jupiter works. Yeah, absolutely, because planets are people. So if we look here just to round up, you've got Rahu in your first house in your D9 chart, which means your second half of life is about becoming who you truly are, which you are doing. Finding yourself, but also as well, look at that, it's also Sagittarius. So this is you finding yourself with the exotic adventure, but also about expanding, exploring, embracing cultures and people, and going on the quest and the journey. If we look here, your moon and Uranus are both in Aquarius. So again, that is humanity, the sign of humanity. Uranus deals with technology of all kinds. And we all know that you're great with technology. Social media also comes underneath this. We cover the Jupiter. If we look here, your Mercury, Neptune, Ketu, very intuitive combination, is all in Gemini, which is in the sign of communication and business. Here you have Saturn and the Sun in Leo, which means being a leader. Yeah. But it also means as well with Saturn here, meaning to have to overcome any inferiority complexes you may have. Yeah. And
Okay.
try not to be too critical of yourself. Yeah. Try not to
Yeah.
be too critical. And if we look here as well, we see here in your 11th house, which deals with networks, connecting with people. You've got Venus in her own sign. Excellent. Venus gives the gift of prophecy when she's exalted or in her own signs, with Mars, which is giving passion, and Ceres is here again, which is the nurturing, mothering network. So there you are. What are your thoughts on that? I'll stop the share. Let me know your thoughts, and then we'll talk a bit about Healerverse and how people
My
can
thoughts
learn
are
more.
that I've loved Western astrology this whole time, and I'm switching because it makes so much sense. So you said at 35 is when we. Is that what you said at 35? It's like when we change to the next chart.
35,
Interesting.
36.
Yeah. That's literally interesting. And it's like a half-life thing. It's like first half, second half. Interesting. Okay. Because like I was like 35 or 36 when I came up with the idea for Healerverse, right? And also I resigned from
Right.
corporate America. I I moved to Colorado from Florida, had the idea, was even like I was starting to see flashing lights. Like spirits were contacting me through flashing lights. What's interesting is I don't know if anybody saw the lights flashing here like 3 minutes ago. I was like,
Wow.
are we gonna go out? But if anyone saw that, heck yeah, that's so cool. That's like one of the ways that spirit started to contact me in the beginning. And I was like, who do I talk to about this? And then I was like in this underground spiritual community of healers globally. And like I had the idea for Healerverse and really started to build it. And it's been a lot of like divine timing and like now's the time, it's like it's new, fresh energy. And that's what we need, I think, with some of these other platforms and stuff, is like new fresh energy of healing, love, abundance. You can literally share whatever you want. Obviously just be nice to people. That's my only rule. And unity and people coming together. Like one of the ways that we connected and he became a Healerverse healer was like, I want to meet people in the US in person. Like I'm coming there. Like I really want to get more connected in the US. And everything is so global. And when we travel, how do we find people to spend time with? Clearly, I don't go to bars anymore. I stopped drinking 9.5 years ago. I want to spend time with spiritual people. I want to be in with healers and like who's doing what. I want to travel. He just mentioned all the Sagittarius in my chart, even Aquarius,
Mm.
right? Yeah. Like
Yes.
I want to travel. How do I find my people? Like I'm a humanitarian through and through. How do I find my people? It's not a thing right now. So I created it
Fabulous.
and you're open to share on there. It's 5dhealerverse.com. And yeah, technology is the way forward. There's a lot of like speaking about um, how different types of tech are negative, but really we can use
Mhm.
tech for good in order to like help us find our people and in order to like build new systems. Because yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about that, about blockchain and AI. And AI is not all bad. We need to teach it. We need to teach it because it
Ah,
has
yeah,
biases.
good stuff.
And the people that
Yeah.
are like, on the other like side of things are really the opinions that are kind of like implemented into certain systems, so we can train it to have new opinion, like new information, new data. A lot of our stuff is underground. Like how many people know Vedic astrology the way that you know it, especially in the UK or US? Not
Yeah.
that many. You're a specialist. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And that
Yeah.
was a big a big part of why I started my YouTube channel and stuff like that. And it wasn't to kind of poo-poo Western or anything like that, because like as you know, I grew up in Western astrology as well, and of course it has its merits and it still works. But I'm so glad that I was able to show to you, and you could see how specific, wasn't it, to those timings, to your actual life, like because I didn't know, of course, stuff about your marriage and stuff like that, and you were like, oh my God, those were the dates.
Literally
And
almost
then,
to the day. Yeah.
it's remarkable, isn't it? It's remarkable. Let's see if we've got any. Let's just say hello to. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Stuck into the whatever, not the whatever Trisha's chart, etc. So I couldn't see the comments, but just clicking up so you can see who's here. So we've got Cindy Lee's here. Says excellent job, Trish.
Oh, thank you.
So saying here. Someone else is also saying, I don't know how to say that, but for me, no substances or alcohol or smoking, like to be alone. Let's see. And then Angela's saying, wow, that thunderstorm is amazing. That was Jupiter, by the way. Remember, he's the god of lightning originally. Let's see who else is here. Let's see who else is here. So people saying namaste. Oh, hello, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Mark is saying
yay, the book
just arrived. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Just arrived here, and everyone's saying hello there in the chat. So guys, I hope you found that interview interesting. Just in case if you missed any details, I have put a link to Trish's Healerverse website, which is there in the video description below. It's a great platform, not only for healers to come together, but also as well like-minded people. She also has forums. I think I'm going to be at one of your forums, aren't I, soon, coming up? I think it's in June.
Yes, next Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or 6 p.m. UK. So that's 10 o'clock Pacific, California, because I know a lot of your viewers are in the US. And I'm sure they're psyched you're coming. Yeah, so I'm going to put that link up tomorrow for that. Yeah, and then also people can private message me on Healerverse, 5dhealerverse.com. Look up Trish Kane. You could direct message me on there. And yeah.
Wonderful. And it's a great platform, guys, because many of you watching, and as many of you know, and speaking with my clients, many of my clients tell me that they often don't have like-minded people to share with. This is why I'm so excited about like my retreats coming up in Santa Fe, where I can actually bring people together. And we were talking on our last Zoom call. We got a couple more coming up, and I just so look forward to connecting people in the ways that they're connected. And that's why I'm so excited about what you're doing, Trish, because you really are. You're creating a platform for healers, people interested in healing, where they can meet, chat and talk, socialize, make new friends. So if anyone's interested, it's in the link below. But I hope you guys found that interesting, and I'm glad you enjoyed that reading, Trish, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. You're amazing, brother. Really. Thank you. Thank you for doing this for everybody, and thank you for having me be here. That's exciting.
No problem. My pleasure. My pleasure. So I'll see everyone soon. I'm sure I'll keep you updated as well what's going on with Trish. Trish, I think you said you've got some friends in Santa Fe. So when I'm in Santa Fe, maybe I'll be able to link up with some of those. If you're coming through Santa Fe, that would be wonderful if we could meet in person. You know, never know.
I love New Mexico. You must go to Taos. Taos, New Mexico is amazing. There's like the motherships there and also the gorge. There's something so special about it. When I manifest, like I see myself there with like property and like all the dogs in the backyard. There's something about Taos, New Mexico, and there's skiing, and it's like it's amazing. I love skiing.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, that's that sporty quality you have with that Venus and Mars together. Well, it's been
Yes.
fabulous. Thank you as well for allowing me to share your chart as well with everyone live, because it's a live read, but it's fascinating, and you should be really proud of yourself with what you're doing and how you've taken this experience and you're manifesting it into something so much higher and brighter, for that everyone can benefit from. And you're certainly a major light worker in this world, and you're facilitating a lot of light as well with what you're doing. So it's a pleasure and an honor to have you on.
Thank you, brother. I love you. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
Big love as well. All right. Well, bye for now, everyone. And you'll see me tomorrow on Thursday Friday. Trump special. Yeah. Looking at his chart. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. What's going on? You'll see. Anyway.